And I had a little thought experiment today, and how did it go, dear? Well, let me tell you. I sort of failed at my thought experiment. I realized that it was really cold outside, and I was becoming more and more uncomfortable. But the plan was I was going to take these four Parker 51 vacuum fill era cedar blue pens out. I was able to, I think, fill them more or less. It's been ages since I've used them, and the sacks might be going bad. And the sacks also had, or the pens had ink from previous decades in them as well. So the ink is different on all of the drawings I did. The subject, as I drew it, got more and more boring, and I drew it faster, and I got colder and my fingers got number. So all in all, it was probably not the sort of experiment you expect to find at Underwriter's Lab or whatever that was. What was that company called? Anyway, so the first one was this drawing here of this big red crane, gold fill without signet. That was this one. So this one, of all the ones I was using, this one appeared to be flowing the best. Now, it may have been because I was in a warm house and the temperature, as I continued to draw, the temperature got less high and ink seized up. Anyway, so this is the first one. First pen. And I liked it, thinking that it did present a nice typical Johnny One Note kind of a line as I'm drawing this. And I was flipping it over to get a finer line back and forth throughout the drawing. And just having these essentially two pens in one, I was able to come up with a drawing. And the ink flow seems fine. If I was to write something about it, I'd say consistent, consistent, two T's, in, flow, blah, blah. That's my very technical term for this pen. So this one worked. I thought this one, I'll give this an A+. Well, everything else has to be worse or equally good. Okay, gold fill. Oh, that goes with this one. Okay. I'm going to keep this here. Sterling cap. Okay, now this one, again, the ink seemed, whatever was in here before, it could have been water. The ink just seemed really light in color. You can see, I think, the difference between that and this. So, and they all were filled with the same color ink, which was this Mysterious Blue by Waterman. So it may have had a lot of water in it before. This pen, though, this one just seems like it's not, like the ink, it wants to dry out. And I know it doesn't want to do that. That's just sort of a feeling I have from it. And the drawings of the two cranes now, or three, is that a crane? I think so, was aiming me in a completely different direction because of the type of nib it had mainly, and the ink color sort of had an anemic quality compared to the first one. So I drew much more quickly, and I sort of, without as much vim and vigor as the first one. Now this may change as the ink continues to mix up in whatever ink was in this pen in 2005 when I last put ink in it, maybe. Frederick has joined us. But there's something kind of, I don't know, it just seems like it doesn't want to give me all of the ink. Now maybe it is in fact working entirely perfectly, and it just has the ink flow is a little less than the other one. It doesn't skip. But it's the pleasure of the first one is not in this one, and I don't know why. So I'm going to give this a B, just a solid B. It's an entire grade drop just because the pleasure factor isn't there for some reason. Maybe when I come back to it and realize this is what it does. The first one seemed, maybe it's just the ink color. Maybe the ink color is all it is. Okay, we go to the next one. Lustraloy. Okay, this one, this was this pen. And again, my fingers were now number than they were before. Okay. Lustraloy. See, this one, the color seems darker again. So whatever the new ink plus whatever was in it is playing with each other and making a dark ink. This one, it has a fine. Okay, are we going dry on me here? And a finer. It goes from fine to finer. And why is it pretending to dry out on me? Hello, Bartholomew. '51s, when you haven't used a 51 in a long time, or a 51 pen that has not been used in a long time, the old ink just takes a good long time for the new ink to sort of dissolve the old ink and come up with a solution that flows. This paper, I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear it. There's a slight woven texture to it. So this pen, again, still doesn't seem to have the flow of the first. And again, it might just be it isn't ready yet. I should have, maybe I'll do this test again tomorrow. This does seem to be skipping. This would fail my world famous Per Gustafsson test, that's for sure. And why is it doing that? Why are you failing? It could be that it didn't suck any ink in. That's entirely possible as well. Maybe the sac is in fact broken. I blew through it. Normally that will. Now it seems to be full. I mean, sealed. I think I need to set this in water. Okay, lastly was this one. Again, all of these pens were filled with the same color ink. and it was whatever color ink that was in the pen before is now being changed by the new ink. Okay, this one seems to flow really, really well like the first one. It has a sort of loud right side up note and a fine upside down note like the first one. So give this an A. The last one, which was the last one? Australoy. See, this one isn't working at all. I think I just didn't fill it. Okay, so much for my pen test. I'm going to fill this with black ink, Waterman Black. Well, I don't know, something might be clogged on this one. Shit. Where's my pen wiper? See, if this were in my collection, it is in my collection. If this were on my desk and I was using this one every day, I think the problem with this pen, which sometimes happens with 51s, is the downward pressure of the top of the shell is keeping the nibs from, the tines of the nibs from expanding a little bit. I think that's what's happening here. And I just think that is what the issue is. As I was planning this experiment this morning, I was wondering what would happen if Wasky Squirrel had his 8 pens and they all were Parker 51s in cedar blue. I wonder what how he could survive the week. I think he likes variety and color and different color ink, but I think he'd appreciate the test I'm trying to do as a scientist, where you make the samples you're using be as identical as possible and then find out, well, what is the difference between the way the nib works? So anyway, there we have it, my 51 experiment. I think I'm gonna keep using these. These are all Sterling. Which is the Sterling? What is this one? Since I did fill them, I'll just keep playing with these 4 pens. See what happens. This first one. This is really a sweet nib on this one. This was most like the first, but I think part of that was due to the fact that the ink was the same color. Anyway, we're going to let these sit, and maybe I put them upside down so they... Yeah, just set them horizontally here. What do I have? Friedrich is asking me, do I have one of those? A yellow one? A yellow 51? Aluminum jeweled 51? No, I do not have one. I'm looking to see if I have any other gray. Taperite things, but I don't seem to have any here. Well, I think I'm going to go and make a few phone calls that I need to make, and I will catch you all later. See ya.